So everybody, I've just removed the old power socket there from the back of this Yaesu FR-101S, and that's the old power socket I've removed. Now you may ask, why have I removed that? And the reason is simple. One side of it is 240 volts, the other side of it is 12 volts, I believe. So I just wanted a 240 volt socket on the back of it, really. I will leave the option for the 12 volt, but I'll show you what I'll do with that later. As you can see on the front, well, this is the panel that faces the back. You've got to have a special connector for that. Very hard to come by, very expensive. As we look on the inside, you can see they are numbered, which I didn't know at first, but there you go. They are actually numbered. So 1 and 2 is actually the 240 volt side. 3 and 4 is the 12 volt side. And what we have in the Yaesu, let's just have a look at the 12 volt side first, because that is very easy. The red wire, that one there, is the 12 volt. And the ground to that side is really simple, because it is just literally the ground there goes to the chassis. So that little bit of wire you can see sticking up, going nowhere, that is the ground. Now the ground goes to pin 4, and this red wire in the center of the screen here that's not connected to anything, that goes to pin 3. So that's your pin 3 and 4 for your 12 volt. Your 240 volt side is a little bit different. You've got pin 1 and 2. So pin 1, we have this red and white coloured wire, which goes to the fuse holder there. And we also have that capacitor there with a little bit of red sleeving on its leg, you can see. So yeah, zoom out. Those two go to pin 1. Now pin 2, we have this black wire in the centre of the screen here, which just disappears off down the middle of the cab there, as you can see. We have the black wire, and we also have the other capacitor leg, which is the one on the right hand side that you can see there. If I just bear with me a second, if I just straighten that leg a bit more on the capacitor, you can see that capacitor leg. I need a multiple number of hands there, but yeah, that capacitor leg there. That goes to pin 2 along with that black wire. So that's how the power switch is wired up on a Yaesu FR-101S, and I'm going to put a new power supply switch on, a new power supply socket, on this in that hole there at the back. I'm just going to have a 240 volt socket there. I am going to have a little cable coming out the back, possibly out of one of these spare holes, with just a little connector block on it, should I want the lower voltage 12 volt supply to it, which I probably won't use, because else you'll just use the 240 volt. So I just wanted to show you, this is the socket, the power socket that I'm going to be fitting to the radio. As you can see, it's a 3-pin socket, and I think it's called an actual C6. if I'm correct. It's a C6 socket, and it's just the right size for the radio. Now, people are going to say straight away, you don't need 3 pins, you haven't got an earth. I know I haven't got an earth, and I can just leave that not connected. I was going to use a standard 2-pin one, which I think is the C2, the standard 2-pin thing. But the problem with that is you could put the power cable in either way, and I don't think this radio is going to like that. So I opted for the C6, where at least you have, you know, only one way of putting the power cable in there, really. Won't go in any other way. So there you go, that's the C6. And I shall fit that in the radio. I shall just pop it in the radio for you now and show you what it looks like just before I glue it into place. So there you go, I've just slid it in. Sorry, I haven't glued it in or anything. I've just popped it in the back of the radio in the hole there, and as you can see, that's going to be a perfect fit. A little bit of glue on the inside and that's going to be fine. That's what it looks like from the inside. Now I am going to only need obviously 2 pins on that, so I'm going to have to buzz these through. Ignore the plus and minus at the side. That was from the previous job, and we'll get rid of the markings there, and I will make a note of which is the plus and minus. The easy way to do that, the way I'm going to actually figure out which way is which, is just plug the power cable into the back of here and just buzz it through, which is the side with the fuse, which is obviously the plus, and the minus side is the other side, and the earth pin we're not going to use. But yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what it'll look like on the inside. It just needs a spot of glue on there, and that is going to be perfect. I'm really happy about that. This socket fits perfect in the back of that radio, considering it was like a strange default Yaesu socket before. Like I say, I'm doing this on my own radio. It's not for anybody else. It is going to be good. It is going to look good. It's not going to come out. I'm going to use strong glue. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to work fine. And that's all I want. I just want the unpluggable power socket cable, you know, that you can unplug without having a wire just dangling down all the time. So there you go. I'll get it fixed in place and we'll see what it looks like. So just to show you what I've done there is I've added a spot of glue. You can't actually see the glue very good, but I've added a spot of glue and I've got it standing on its side, so it's the glue should, you can see the glue at the side there, the glue should stick it in place. Then I've got no glue on the outside, I've only got the glue on the inside. You can't actually see very clear, but there is glue there. It is held into place. And then once it's glued in and the glue's dried, I can just add the connectors on and solder them on to the inside of the socket. I've actually buzzed it out. It has actually got little markings on it that actually show the live, neutral and earth. The neutral's the one closest to me, earth in the middle, and then live at the other end. So that's how we're going to connect it up. So the socket is glued in place. Ignore the ones with tape on them, the wires with tape on them. The ones I've just put in are the ones with the heat shrink sleeving. So we've got a bit of heat shrink sleeving joining the cable off those 2 capacitors, which you can probably see go back to the back of that connector there, that one. So hopefully that should all be working now, and we can give it a test and make sure it all works. So that's the socket that I've put in, and the wiring is that basically on the inside you've got the live comes from the fuse, which is there. That brown wire goes to the fuse. The other brown wire goes to a capacitor there with a red mark on its leg, and the blue wire, the neutral, goes back to another capacitor with no markings on its leg, and you've also got a black wire as well that comes off it and goes further on in the board. Okay, so that's the wiring of the socket that I've fitted on the back of the Yaesu. It's not upside down, the picture isn't, it's just that the Yaesu is upside down. There you go. Just to show you there, it does work, it is powered up. Got no aerial plugged in the back of it at the moment, but as you can see, it is powered up and it does work.